I thought I would do a cerebral palsy tag for you all, so stick around. I am not entirely sure who started this tag, but the video that I found this tag about cerebral palsy on, I will link down below, and their channel is Living My CP Life. I know I'm about to lose my light, so forgive me for that. Now there are 10 questions, and I changed one of the questions simply because I wanted to answer another question instead of the one that was asked. So number 1, what type or what kind of CP do you have? I have what's known as spastic hemiplegia cerebral palsy. And if But basically it affects my right side. So my right hand, hip, leg, and foot, with my hip, leg, and foot being the most affected. Number 2, how did you get CP? I'm not entirely sure, but I do know that I was born premature. And if you're born premature, you have more of a risk of having the brain injury or some kind of complication that would lead to cerebral palsy. So number 3, how did you feel about CP growing up? Growing up, I had a very supportive family. They made me feel like I could do anything and be anyone I wanted, and they never tried to dissuade me from doing things that I wanted to do because they thought I couldn't do it because of my disability. Like, that never really came up. I was never really coddled because of my disability. The flip side to that is, although there were good intentions and they were from the most genuine, loving place to kind of not talk about my disability and to treat me like I was everybody else. So I am not by any means angry at my family. I sort of internalized this notion or this idea that I need to kind of hide my cerebral palsy from other people because I didn't want people to know. And once I stopped wearing my leg braces, it was a lot less obvious that there was anything wrong with me. I tried to hide it a lot, and I was I was very self-conscious about it. And now that I'm grown, I feel like this channel has helped me not hide from it so much. I did everything that, I did whatever I wanted to do, basically. If I wanted to do it and it was within our means, then I was able to do it. So I participated in softball, I did dance lessons, I took swimming lessons, like all the things. Could I do them as well as able-bodied kids? No, definitely not. Being told and being treated by your family in the most loving way possible, being treated like you could do everything, but then inevitably coming up to your limitations, it was such a difficult thing for me because I didn't understand why I couldn't do certain things. But at the end of the day, I grew up okay in terms of family. So number 4, how has CP impacted your life, the positive and the negative? On the positive side of things, I believe that CP has made me a much more compassionate person, particularly with people who may also have disabilities, who may have something that they're struggling with, but it may not be readily visible. And I just try to help people as much as I can because I know what it's like to try and try and try and just not succeed or not be where you want to be. So if I can help somebody achieve their goals, then I don't know, that makes me very, very happy. And so that's the positive side. The negative side is that, again, like, I struggled a lot with self-worth and feelings of like, do I deserve the things in my life because of my disability, or like, what did I do wrong to deserve this kind of thing. There was a lot of questioning and just like a really low self-esteem, if I'm completely honest. Like, I didn't think people would like want to date somebody like me, or, you know, whatever. It kind of makes me hyper aware and like super self-conscious and very self-critical of what I can and can't do. Number 5, do you ever think about life without CP? Yes and no. I think about what my life would be like without cerebral palsy sometimes. Just when I'm like, I would really like to just, I don't know, like be really good at sports or something. I wonder what it would be like to like be coordinated and not always like constantly tired. Overall, I don't really think about what my life would be like without CP, because it is such a big part of my identity and about who I am. So I kind of don't, at this point, I don't really think about, oh, wouldn't it be nice if I didn't have it? Like, no. Number 6, how was schooling with CP? I took all the same classes as all of my peers. I wasn't sequestered somewhere. I did get bullied a lot. I mean, it was like classic textbook case of bullying. Like, I would get books knocked out of my hand. I've had my hands like slammed in locker doors before. People would make fun of me. I got a lot of like, run, Forrest, from like, you know, Forrest Gump and stuff, because I can't run properly. You know, like last to pick for dodgeball. I hate dodgeball, but whatever. But because of that, I take bullying very seriously, and that's why I try to be as compassionate as I can, because I don't know what other people are going through. Most of the bullying happened in elementary and middle school. But then I decided to switch high schools, and it was better. What I failed to recognize, cerebral palsy affects people's motion and how they move about. And that's a very simple way, but that's the biggest thing that kind of affects me. And in high school, I would try so hard to mask all of the things. Like, you know, I had to walk properly, swing my arms, make sure that I'm, you know, not tripping over something, and trying to be as able-bodied as possible. That was a big thing for me in high school. By the end of the day, I would be so exhausted. By last period, I would just pass out asleep. And I'm not just like nodding off, like I would be asleep for most of last period in like junior year and senior year. You know, I had some teachers like, well, what's going on? And I didn't put 2 and 2 together. So I'm pretty sure they just thought I was lazy. With CP, you use 3 to 5 times more energy just to do normal things that other people just take for granted, like it's no big deal. So if you're one of my old teachers, I'm very sorry. I was very tired, and I didn't think to, you know, and I was so embarrassed, you know, because you're supposed to be full of energy when you're a teenager, and I was just always tired. And I still am. It never stopped. I'm just a perpetually tired person. I didn't really talk to my teachers and tell them. And plus, I didn't really have the information that I have now. And I didn't have the research skills necessary to get the information to give to my teachers and say, hey, this is what I'm dealing with. Can we have some kind of accommodations? I mean, of course, I didn't know. I didn't know what I could and couldn't do, that kind of thing. How has cerebral palsy changed throughout your life? The first thing you see when you look up stuff about cerebral palsy, they usually make some sort of comment about how common it is for children. I don't know why this is perpetuated. The second thing that they normally will say is that it's a non-progressive condition. And what they mean by that is that if your cerebral palsy is caused by a brain laceration or a brain injury of some kind, the brain injury itself will not get worse. That being said, that doesn't mean it's not going to change throughout your life. So, sorry, I reached the limit. So I didn't really notice, not that I didn't notice, but it became progressively more noticeable when I got into college, that CP was going to change throughout my life. I started to notice that I didn't have the same range of motion in my legs. I noticed that now that I'm like over 30, it is a matter of just getting fatigued a lot easier. I'm dealing with a lot more pain issues, particularly at night when I'm trying to sleep. So it's becoming more and more noticeable as I'm getting older, things like that. So I feel like I am in a much older body than my mind feels like it is. So number 8, how will things change for people with disabilities? I'm not exactly sure how to answer this. Disability and society and how a particular sociocultural environment treats disabilities and both within and outside of the medical profession. There's so many aspects to this conversation about what can change and what will change, and it depends on where you are and when you are, I don't know. This is a very difficult question for me to answer. I hope there will be more research done on multiple fronts, like interdisciplinary research on cerebral palsy, society, particularly in terms of aging and quality of life. And even the people that do the research, and I am so grateful for the people that do research on cerebral palsy and cerebral palsy in adults. Oftentimes they're not actually researchers with cerebral palsy, so it is always, the ones that I have read have always been an outside perspective. So I am interested in basically an own voices look on an academic scale of cerebral palsy and society. Number 9, what is the biggest misconception about life with CP? The biggest misconception is assuming that people with mild CP do not need any sort of support at all, and that's not true. A lot of times people would just treat me like I was perfectly able-bodied because I didn't look like I had CP. So I got a lot of like, you're basically fine, it's no big deal, but I'm like, you don't have to live in my body, so how would you know? But that's why I prefer to use the term low support needs, as it centers on the needs of the actual individual instead of how far away are you from being able-bodied. I'm using a lot of air quotes in this tag, sorry. If there was a pill or cure for CP, would you take it? This is a very tricky question. It gets into all sorts of things. I cannot talk for everybody in the community. People have asked me this question before growing up, and the underlying feeling that kind of brings up for me is that I'm not good enough unless I'm cured, or I am not good enough unless my CP is not there. I am me, and part of accepting me is accepting my cerebral palsy. That's why I don't like the writing trope and you have them magically cured by the end of the book. That's why I don't like that trope. It's because the message that you're sending out to people is that you're no good unless you're cured, or you're no good to society unless you don't have your disability. And that is so not, no, just no. I cannot talk for other people who, whose CP looks much different than me. They may have different answers, and that's totally valid. Oh, it's such a loaded question, but I thought I would at least try to answer that. So that's about it. It was a little bit longer than I wanted, but there was a lot of things I wanted to kind of touch upon. I know this was kind of like a more somber video, but I want y'all to know, like, I am totally fine, and people may not know what to ask in terms of cerebral palsy or disability. And I just want to put it out there. For me personally, I do not mind any sort of question that you want to ask me within, reason. Obviously, don't be weird. But in terms of like my disability, I don't mind answering any kinds of questions. If you ask a question from a place of genuine curiosity and wanting to know something, I am more than happy to answer questions for you about CP. And if I get enough questions, I may just do a Q&A. So if you have any questions about cerebral palsy or like my life experience with CP, feel free to leave it down below and I'll do my best to answer them. But again, it's just, I can only answer in terms of my CP, as every sort of case with CP is different. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do a little thumbs up and drop me a comment down below. Let me know. That way I can, make some more CP videos for y'all. I will see y'all later.